I got a little Shure flip mic, and I don't know if it's actually feeding through that or if it's just going through the AirPods that I have on. But either way, this is my audio setup. So if it's rough, that's just what it is.
Well, I can tell you this much: we hear you.
Great. Does it sound good?
No,
As long as it doesn't sound awful.
it doesn't sound awful.
Oh wait, we gotta
It
leave.
sounds passable.
Okay.
Closing the
I
client.
can work with passable.
Yeah, it's
It's about as good as we're
it's
gonna
fair.
get. It's passable.
Welcome to the A for No, B for Yes podcast, where we go chapter by chapter through the Legend of Zelda games. Last episode, we talked about Mineru and going through the Spirit Temple in Tears of the Kingdom. And oh my, what a scare it was, as most of it was underground. This episode, we are going to talk about none other than our favorite pastime of Breath of the Wild, pummeling them into the ground and thinking that their traps on the sides of the roads are actually meaningful, the Yiga. Da-da-da-da-da. My name is Anthony, and joined with me as always are my co-hosts.
I'm Ryan Fonzie, pilot of the Gloom Dredger.
A gloom dredger. And I'm Cameron Hagee, a Duracell battery you can rely on.
See, I'm more of a
Keeps
Hover
going.
Doom fan myself.
Oh man, come on, dude. That
Yeah.
thing gets like 3 miles to the gallon. Not
But the
environmentally
spikes,
friendly at
though,
all.
man, come on.
Just because it looks cool. Nah. But yeah, guys, we're here to talk about the Yiga. This game, this Tears of the Kingdom game took the concept of the Yiga and made it just way better than it was before. You still got the assassins trying to get you everywhere you go, people in disguises, but now we have things like banana traps and
Zelda
underdark
traps.
secret bases and Zelda traps, which we've already talked about, and a bunch of stuff we've mentioned before, but also these two other like whole chains of events that we've just barely started in our other episodes. So
Yeah,
we
they're
wanted to
kidnapping people now.
take a special dedicated episode just to give them some appreciation before we start moving towards the actual finale of this game. So yeah, guys, I don't know where do we want to start with the bases or do we want to start with the guy? So
Bro,
I
I
did the guy
think
first, but I mean the
I
bases
think
are
we gotta
kind of
talk about the guy.
I
the
mean, you're
guy.
probably gonna run into the guy first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So way back when, if you remember the beginning of the season, which was almost a year ago now, we talked about running into the Great Abandoned Central Mine. This is where you find one of the first what's he called? Like the trader dude, like the post salesman trader man. I always
Mhm.
forget what that guy's actually called. Uh but he will lead you down there. But even if you don't find it through that, if you follow some of the statues, you can end up in the central mine where you can find Master Koga. He's kind of it seems almost like a random mini boss at the time. Like he shows up, the Great Return. Everybody was kind of hoping for this.
And somebody predicted it.
And somebody predicted it. We gotta still do that whole episode of what predictions came true.
Probably
For
like
sure.
only that
Almost
one.
none of mine did, so
Yeah.
it's all good. But yeah, this was like one of the first refineries that we find in the game too, if you remember that. All the same instance. So we've already talked about the first encounter with him where he's like mad that you took the auto build, and for some reason he can just kind of snap his fingers and stuff appears anyway. So I don't know why he needed the auto build.
He already has auto build.
He already has auto build. It's like he doesn't understand that he's already rocking the power he wants, but he's all upset about it. So he flew off, and we decided not to follow him at that time. But since then, we have followed him, and now we know there's a couple different ways you can find his next location. I think he straight up tells you where he's headed, for one. But also, if you follow the Gerudo statues in the depths, it will lead you all the way out to the abandoned Gerudo mine. The other way you can get to this is to find a chasm in the desert that leads to underneath Gerudo Town. Same location. You can get there either way you want. And if you do this, you will find Koga once again. And he's looking at another one of those handprint switches. In fact, almost every time, except for the last time we encounter him, he's going to be investigating these handprint switches.
It's so comical to see him just pushing his hand up against it over and over again. Like, why won't this work?
Right. He doesn't know that only Raru's hands work. Only one person alive has a Raru hand.
He just isn't him.
Just isn't him.
Factual.
So Koga, here, he wishes he could steal the auto hand back from you. He's basically just still on that, basically. But he does also divulge that the Yiga are currently collecting crystallized charges in the depths for some ultimate power. In the meantime, he has another fight with you. This one is more flying machines, which is pretty fun. It involves a lot of figuring out how to jump up in the air to hit them, which, you can build your own flying machine. You can use pine cones. You can use oil jars if you want. Anything really to spring yourself up there, or you can just shoot them from the ground. I mean, that's an option too. But it's another one of those. Or Koga himself is just kind of snapping his fingers and making planes come out of nowhere. So
Auto building.
It's good stuff. I guess before I just run through all of these encounters, I mean, did you get like what was it like for you? I mean, I thought this was one of the more fun ones. I think that the most fun one was probably the third fight, the next one we're going to talk about. But I do appreciate that they at least mixed it up from fight to fight.
Yeah, they gave him new vehicles. This one was fun. I kind of got a little annoyed during it because I got knocked out of the air a couple times by some stuff he was shooting out at me. I would boing up there with one of the springs that was around, and then just got smacked out of the air a couple times. Eyebrow twitched like, you gotta go, Mr. Koga. And at that point, I just kind of stepped on the gas and got rid of him.
Yeah, he's a bit more competent than the actual like Yiga glider people that are in the depths.
Oh yeah.
Oh, those
They
dudes
just
are
kind of
sick.
they just like fly in circles and miss their shots all the time.
I think I probably just ended up throwing some rockets on some shields, which is how I fix most of my problems when they're above me in this game.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but he goes down pretty easy, especially for this one. I think they kind of knew that it was going to be trickier to get up to hit him, so they made him featherweight in terms of resisting falling off his machine.
Yeah, I gotta say, for me, I had more trouble with the vehicle, like the automobile, the first one versus this one, because that one, I couldn't figure out how to dodge it for some reason. I kept getting hit, and it was just more tedious. Like this one, I straight up just bombed him until he died.
All right, do what you got to do.
Yeah. The next one though was the next time we see him, which I believe was Lineru, was actually one of my favorites of the three.
Yeah, so at the end of this one, I think he straight up tells us like, next I'm heading to the Eastern Abandoned Mine, so don't follow me. I'm out. And then he flies off. I was like, oh, okay. Um, and again, you can either follow the Zora statues if you want from the central mine, or you can just kind of head over to Leneru and jump down somewhere over there closer. I think I actually followed the statues for this one, which was a cool adventure. Got really good at making hover machines that traverse the depths.
I ain't never
Got really good
followed.
at landing them on top of like mushroom trees and stuff like that, so I didn't have to keep, you know, re-navigating up to a safe flight zone.
Do you rock the motorbike hovercraft or the like double air bike hovercraft?
The motorbike in the depths is kind of tricky because it moves pretty fast and doesn't turn very well on its own. But I hadn't figured out the like putting a plank on it to make it turn tighter and all of that yet. So I think during this part of the game, this was still pretty early on, and I think I remember using like a Nebuchadnezzar type flying machine, so something with more fans and more of a radial pattern.
Mm.
When I say Nebuchadnezzar, like I'm referencing the Matrix movies, like they had like a more of like an
Okay.
oval airship with a bunch of different turbines around it. I guess you have to look it up to see what I'm talking about, but
Or some of like the old Da Vinci blueprints for his flying machines. That's what
well,
I thought of when you said circular ones with fans. I'm thinking of Da Vinci weird spiral shaped things that were supposed to fly.
oh nah, it's like I had like a platform that I was standing on, and then just fans around the outside edge of it. So I was probably using maybe 6 fans instead of the 2, but it was on like a heavier machine overall, so it would fly slower and control easier.
But you have the battery to back that up, though.
Yeah, I mean, by then I definitely had more battery and all that.
See, I'm still rocking the Green Goblin, like double air bike, the fans on the side, which is nice
All right.
for the sky. Like, yeah, sure, it gets you places on the sky, but turning in the depths is a nightmare with it. Like, I'm always hitting shadow cliffs and mushroom heads and underground trees.
Yeah.
My favorite flying machine is really cumbersome and it takes a lot to build it, but everything else about it is great. It's just a metal like square of a grate that you stand on, and then 4 fans in the corners, and then all fans have a battery on top of them, and then a control stick in the middle. It's got maximum
Nice.
maneuverability. It goes up really fast if you're trying to get up. It never disappears like if it was made out of a wing, but the problem is if you make it from scratch, it takes like 100 of the ore in order to make it. So usually I end up throwing out the batteries and the fans and a control stick, and then I build the rest, and then it only takes like 4 or 6.
All right.
Yeah, it's crazy. Because, like, I think mine takes 12 to build.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I remember for this journey, just making one airship and then just trying to rock it all the way along the statue line. So there's a lot of conservation of parts that way.
And don't use a wing then, because then it disappears.
Yeah. So in this Eastern Abandoned Mine underneath Leneru, Yiga has some more things to share. He's basically, when you get there, he's like, yeah, we're already done collecting things here, but as long as you want to fight here, I mean, I'm down. He kind of gets into it. He's like, what you saw, because he was back at the hand switch again. He's like, what you just saw was me just killing time, and like, but he says that as if it's some kind of impressive feat. And then he jumps away and ends up down in the water and builds himself a battle boat, as if to invite us into the challenge.
He also has a battle squad, too.
Yeah, he's got some other boat guys, but I mean, come on, it's boats. So
He's got a big crew.
This one I found to be very fun to just jump down, build a boat, and just start chasing them around in the water.
Yeah, it was so much fun.
Basically the best. Yeah.
And this one taught me real quick.
What did it teach you real quick?
I was going to say it taught me real quick on how to build an actually good raft, because up until this point, I never really played with rafts. And so I kind of had to like learn on the fly. I had like a few auto builds that were already done. And then I kind of like in the beginning of the fight, it was like, what's gonna make this run? Like maybe stick a couple fans here, maybe like a wing on top. I made like a really weird contraption with like a wing on the top. I thought it was like aerodynamic with like 2 fans going up on like the base Yiga boat schematic that you get.
Yeah.
It worked.
I don't remember what I did for this fight. I mean, I think I either just stopped the boat every once in a while to shoot some arrows, or B, use like the fishing rig with the electrifier and just like rammed into them. And I don't remember which strategy was more
I didn't have
effective
that at this point.
or
That would have
what I
been.
did, but
I wonder if that would have just worked.
it'd be great if it were. I mean, you just got to hit him. He's got to fall off his machine and everything. So, Koga's battle styles doesn't really change much. It's just what he's riding. That's
Yeah.
He thinks his tools are going to be the way to beat you, but he doesn't realize that it's him himself who needs to improve.
yeah.
Which means he learned
that
nothing
gut.
from the first game.
What were you saying, Cam?
He's got to lose that gut.
Yeah.
That's why he
his
can't.
problem.
That's why you can't balance on none of these things. One arrow to the tippy toe is going to take you out when you're on a flying machine when you got that big old gut, man.
All right.
Yeah, he does have balance issues.
He's
Foreshadowing.
always had balance issues.
My dude's got some coordination issues too. But yeah, we knocked this guy around the water a couple times, and he decides to divulge that not only have they already mined this place out, but they also found the Demon King, and that the next place he's going will be the Northwest to finish the ultimate weapon and bring the world to its end.
Mm-hmm.
And then he tells you randomly that our next encounter will be our last, and then he flies off again. Which is, some pretty strong foreshadowing. He's like basically like, hey, you want the final me? You want the final battle with Koga? You got to come up to the Northwest.
This?
This one was interesting to find because this one you actually cannot get to just by following statues in the depths. You actually have to go through the chasm that is located directly underneath the Rito Village, aptly named the Rito Village Chasm.
Whoa.
And there's even like a Zonai researcher who's right next to it who's just afraid to jump into it. He's like, I found this chasm, but yeah, it's not really my thing.
Yeah, the chasm's like not the easiest thing to find or see on the map either. You kind of have to like crawl into a hole, and then it's like inside of a small little cave inside that hole.
Right. Yeah. Like on the side of, the post that holds up the Rito Village. There's just a random, I mean, you can see the researcher balloon is like sitting on top of where the entrance is. And that's like the one clue you get that there would even be a cave nearby. And yeah, you got to like find a pretty extreme angle to actually look at it without being, climbing into it. So.
And then the area of the depths that you fall into is completely cut off from all the rest of the depths.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like a, perfect spot for the most secretive of Yiga bases. I would just imagine like the Yiga climbing up the Rito Village side of the tower,
Right?
Like jumping.
Like I can't imagine the Ritos who can fly have never, or like the researcher that's just standing there. No one's seen, a bunch of bumbling oafs like entering this hole.
Those bumbling oafs can just turn invisible somehow. So
I wonder if they like barrel of monkeys that all kind of like linked arms and help each other climb up and down.
That's a long monkey chain,
right? All them Yigas. I need barrel of Yigas to be a official Nintendo toy.
It becomes an amiibo.
I'm willing to bet they just dumped a bunch of bananas down the hole and then made like a soft little landing with them and then just jumped down because they have so many bananas.
There you go.
It seems like they'd have to immediately eat the ones they fell on.
Pretty much, yeah.
They'd be bruised pretty bad. I don't know if I think they cared too much about the bananas for that.
Get that potassium overload.
But yeah, this is our final bout with Sir Koga, and when you get down there, he's straight up meditating. Like he's not even looking at a hand switch anymore. He's just chilling.
He's locked in.
Yeah, and he tells us that he's been waiting for us. He's been waiting to unveil the gift to the Demon King, and I think he even says like, "Behold this feat of engineering," amongst other key phrases about how amazing this thing is. And when he shows it to you, it might look a little familiar.
Yo.
Because this is another Zonai construct. Much like Mineru herself, or the seized construct that we fought, this is the other construct battle, except the thing doesn't have a head. Instead, what it has is like a Yiga brand handkerchief, kind of like the one they used to vandalize the frog statues, as well as a very Koga style frill around the top to act as like the collar, and that collar is where Koga sits.
Yeah, he's got like his own little cockpit in it. It's kind of reminiscent of like a Dr. Eggman or a Bowser Jr. kind of way of riding in the robot.
And don't forget the cool Yiga lanterns in the front. And he's got like
He's got a couple of
flowers
headlights
for
on there.
arms.
It's
Got like
I
Yiga
mean, honestly,
flowers.
it's not as good as the seized construct was at fighting either. It's a very basic fight, honestly. Like comparatively, I think they did that because you might not have actually gotten Mineru or the seized construct fight by now. Like if you just started doing the Koga stuff. I personally did have Mineru, so I jumped up on Mineru and did another Rock'em Sock'em fight for this. But it was very manageable even without that.
Yeah, I had to run through this because I just actually got Mineru. Was one of the last things I did in the game, and the Spirit Temple. So I actually had ran through this with just Link. And from what I remember, I think I was like kind of frustrated with it because at first I had no clue how to do it. And this is before I fought the other construct as well. So it was kind of like a learning curve for me, but a manageable learning curve because I mean, it's Koga, you know? I mean,
yeah,
it is Koga.
I think the hilarious part of this fight is that his title card reads Wielder of Ultimate Yiga Power, Master Koga. And then he's just riding a construct where you can just easily be shot off again. I'm like, come on, guy. You don't even know what you're doing with this thing. I can't imagine that Ganondorf's going to have a whole lot of use for it, but you know,
he'd get more use out of a Lionel.
They've been collecting Zonai charges from all these different mines just to make a failed experiment, basically.
Yeah, I'm thinking about all powerful Yiga as being a small fish in a tiny pond.
Well,
yeah. Like you can be the best Rattata, but you're still a Rattata, you know?
Exactly.
I think before the fight, even I mean, he has some work. He tells you about how they plan to give this to the Demon King, who's far beneath Hyrule Castle. So, like, if you didn't know where he was, nah, I mean, the Yiga did figure out where he was. They did find the Demon King. I don't think that ever amounts to anything because the Demon King still does not enlist them in any kind of plan. But after you defeat his fancy schmancy robot, he kind of laughs hysterically as if he's just like losing it because of how many times you've messed up his plans, and then decides that he's going to get serious and show you an all new move that he just came up with. And so he auto builds a spike ball and a rod that is attached to an array of maybe 9 rockets.
Yeah.
And he says, yeah, but, prepare yourself for the full might of the Koga rocket. And then when he's trying to aim it at you, it kind of tips down at him.
No.
And he freaks out. And then, Koga goes blasting off again.
Literally.
So he actually trips like
Does
off
he?
balance for a second. And that's why it kind of like aims down because his hand goes all like, whoa. And so the rocket kind of like shifts around a little bit and then just like falls straight and points right at him as he like tripped. And then he looks up and he's like, oh no.
Yeah.
Clumsy
Yeah.
Koga.
There's that balance, man. Gotta lose that gut.
My dude goes flying all around the cavern. And then just like
In
does
what is
the
probably
opposite of
some of
what
the best
happened.
voice acting in
Yeah.
Zelda.
He does literally the opposite of what he did in the first one, where instead of
And-
falling into the depths, he gets shot up out of the depths.
Yeah. So if they ever make a third one of these games, which they already told us they're not going to do, like they're done with this Hyrule. But if they did, I'm sure he'd be on a sky island somewhere.
Right.
Like the final visit of Koga.
Koga's
But,
riding a flux construct.
Oh my gosh.
the ultimate Yiga power.
The new ultimate Yiga power.
Not even Yiga, it's Zonai, bro.
He just slaps a sticker on it. It's fine.
Yeah. So after you do this, just as like a forced spoiler, because we're going to talk about some of the conversations with other Yiga members that we can have in this game. They will start referring to Koga as having been defeated by the hero again. They're like, well, even though he's defeated, or the hero apparently killed him or something, like they don't really understand fully what happened. Whereas, before you go through this whole line, I'm sure you can still do the Yiga stuff, and they wouldn't have all of that extra dialogue to say. But yeah, this is felt across the Yiga culture.
The defeat of Koga.
Defeat of Koga.
They all know.
Fast traveling news.
Koga is like the Team Rocket of Zelda. Like, no matter how many times he tries to get Link, take something, he always just gets defeated. He always gets set back. He always gets pushed away, and then finally he blasts off again.
Yeah.
Yeah, except instead of Pikachu, it's the auto build function.
Yeah.
I've come for your auto build function again, Ash.
Just replace the variables. It's the same story.
He doesn't have a cat, though.
True.
Nah.
Doesn't have a cat.
He just has a whole clan. Speaking of which,
No cat, bunch of clowns.
now that we've cut the head off of this organization, let's go mess with the organization. So, as you may remember from Breath of the Wild, slightly north of Gerudo Desert, there is a pathway that leads right up to the Yiga clan hideout. In this game, that pathway is still there. The hideout's pretty well locked up, and outside the front door, there's an assassin you can run into. I think there's even like an ambush you can fight. But more notably, there's this character Mimos who wants to join the Yiga clan and is rejected at the gate. He's trying to like knock on the door that's locked up, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I want to join." He's like, they basically tell him like, "No, you can't do that. You have to go and get the armor set. Go collect all the pieces of the Yiga set, and then you'll be allowed to enter. Like you have to basically go prove yourself by going and getting a set of Yiga armor."
My mama told me that if I went to the Yiga and tried to join them, that I'd be able to join them on the first try. Dang it.
So
It's literally what he said.
yeah,
His mama should have made him some threads instead of giving him a pep talk, you know what I'm saying?
so if you talk to Mimos again, he'll kind of side mention the Akala Tech Lab up in the very northeastern tip of Hyrule, so like opposite side of the map.
And they also dropped the phrase "cool move" like 7 times in this conversation.
Cool move.
Yeah.
Cool move.
Yeah.
All right.
Like they'll teach you a secret technique if you can get into the Yiga. I really
wanted to learn that cool move. Man, now I'm not going to be able to learn the cool move.
It's all in red text, like highlighted.
It is a cool move.
But it's not the move.
Every time I use the cool move, I do feel like I messed up and forgot that my weapon broke. But if you ever want to use it, it's kind of cool. No, it's ridiculous. We'll talk about that in a few story beats here. So there's these Yiga hideouts that are kind of scattered about the overworld map. Not in the depths. There's plenty in the depths, but none of them are the ones we're looking for. 3 particular hideouts, one of which is at the Akala Ancient Tech Lab. I think I actually talked about this in a previous episode.
Yep.
You can either go in through a cave and pop up from the ground, and that'll trigger the event, or you can just try to walk up to the front door, and that'll get you into a fight with a couple of Yiga. If you defeat them, you can go inside. You can get the Yiga chest piece. There's also a couple other things there that you want to get if you've already gotten through the fight. Don't waste it. The travel medallion prototype is in there somewhere, and
Yeah.
also the clother, like a clothing tailor, who was forced to make Yiga gear against their will.
The kidnappings.
Yeah, they will give you the Yiga chess piece. So that's the first one. If you look at the map, there's a map on the wall, and the Yiga literally have all of their hideouts marked on the map, and you can kind of make out where to look from that. So that's the biggest clues you can get, and I just kind of rushed through that because we already talked about that one. One of the cooler ones is out on the south side of Mount Drena, Drena. It's like central Hyrule-ish, kind of to the west a bit. You know how like
and north a bit too.
the first glyph that we find, like the big geoglyphs, it's a little bit north of that. It's
like
you know,
directly west of Makar Island, and
but like
Korak.
way far west of that, right?
Oh no, it's like right over the water.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, I thought Makar Island was like really far east.
Nah, it's like right to the west of the Korak Forest.
Okay, you still got me confused. Mount Drena, it's on the south edge of it. That's all I can tell you. You get in that area, there's a bunch of fields and knolls, you know, but you can find frog statues just on the hill randomly. If you follow them up the hill, you will find a small hole in the ground that you can head into. And if you follow the cave pathing normally, you'll end up fighting a couple of Yiga. Ba-ba-da-ba. But they also have a note chilling in one of the rooms after you're done that says the eyes of the frogs like to follow, like the note basically says, remember, follow the eyes of the frogs. When I found this note, I started looking for frog statues, and I did find one that had me kind of look in the right direction. From my previous research on this, there are actually like some tiles on the floor that have eyes on them that look upward.
Yep.
And if you follow those, there's a hole in the ceiling. But the first time I did this, I never found the tiles. I just found the frog and then looked around the room and said, "Hey, there's a hole in the ceiling."
How did the Yiga even get their victim up there in the first place?
I don't know. Maybe they also have Ascend and they don't tell you that. They might as well.
It's the secret power of the Yiga, the paper substitute, where they can just go poof and then reappear wherever they want. Hopefully, don't get stuck in the cave wall, though.
Maybe they just link their arms like a barely Yigas. But yeah, you get up into this upper room, and you once again there's a tailor that they have subjugated, and for freeing them, we get the Yiga leggings as a reward.
A CC fashion tailor.
Yeah, this one's actually got the CC mushroom outfit, right?
Yeah, I think they actually all
They
do.
might
If I'm not
all,
mistaken.
yeah, sounds right. A lot of the fashion
fans,
gamers, CC fans.
And then if you wanted to visit your old friend, old man, we could go over to the Great Plateau and pay a visit to his cabin, which is no longer his cabin.
Wasn't it Daphnis Johansson, Hyrule, something like that?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the last Yiga hideout is actually his cabin. They've taken it over. They've surrounded it with spike walls. There are just all kinds of monsters in the area. Big old moblins, bokoblins, what have you. Just overrun. But if you jump and find your way into the middle of the spike wall, there's a couple of Yiga you can fight. It's always the same two Yiga. Like one blade master and one grunt, dude.
Yep.
And so you have basically a cage match with them because you're in the middle of a circle of spike walls. But that actually kind of makes it easier because they don't have as many places they can kind of poof out to. They're kind of always just close in with you. And after you defeat them, you can actually just enter the old man's cabin, where you'll find another clothing version. And they'll give you the final piece of the set, the Yiga mask.
And the nice touch about wearing the mask is that you have blonde hair in your up spike do, not the Yiga black hair that they all have.
Yeah, but they don't catch on to that. I'm pretty sure if you go up to Koga and you're wearing the outfit, he's not fooled, but everyone else is.
There's only one guy that I foreshadow to that he notices.
Okay.
And it's a funny conversation.
There are a couple that I've known. Like, okay, so when you wear the full set, you get treated like a Yiga for the most part. This leads to some funny interactions. Like, for example, if you go and you find a banana trap, you will hear the Yiga who set the trap say, "Hey, get out of here! I'm waiting for the hero to come along. Like, what are you doing here? Like, can't you see the obvious trap? Like, come on, man." He just gets like, they get super upset. If you go up to people who are disguised Yigas, same deal. Hey, so I'm kind of just waiting for the hero. So if you could just keep it moving, they recognize you as a Yiga and treat you as a Yiga, right? Like they act like you're just kind of in the way or being too obvious when they're trying to be sneaky. I know if you talk to Paya over in Kakariko, she won't look you in the eye. She'll straight up tell you like she knows it's you as Link, but she's like, "I'm sorry, Link, but if you're gonna dress like that, like I can't talk to you because that's super disrespectful to my culture and my people." It's like,
really,
oh,
Link? I can't.
Whoops. Yeah, she's like, I'm sorry, but there's just you have caused way too much pain for me to associate with you while you're dressed like that. I was like, oh snap, like is it serious? Which I guess makes sense because they straight up murked Dorian's wife and all that, so I get it.
Murked him. Talking about it in such a serious note and then throw the term murked out.
I mean, they did.
It was a terrible catastrophe when he got capped and all.
Straight up stacked. That's what happened.
No.
All right. So, I think Pura also sees through it. Like some main NPCs will see through it. But one of the other things you can do with this, which another mission that we've talked about already, those secret like orbs over in the Gerudo town. One of the orbs, or one of the actually, it's one of the plaques for like getting the history of everything, right? Like when you're like in the first part of that, you have to go through and get pictures of all these different pillars. One of those pillars is in the jail cell with the dude who got caught trying to see his wife and kid. Because super offensive crime, trying to get into the city to see your wife and child when there's a giant evil sandstorm going on.
How dare he?
How dare he? But the only way to get into that jail cell yourself is to dress up as a Yiga in the middle of the Gerudo town, where you will promptly get caught and thrown in jail. And I think what happens is after they throw you in jail, they even realize that it's you, and they're like, "Well, actually, just you can't come out till you take the clothes off."
It's like, Link, what are you doing? Like, why?
Yeah. So you can get in there, get the picture that you need, and then change your clothes and get released. But the guy who's in jail still can't come out.
Hey, I got in there a different way.
Did you?
Yeah, you can act as a hole in the wall or something you can move, or you had to ascend through a different part, or there was another way in though. I didn't have to get captured, but it's still kind of the same thing when you go up to the person or the guard. She's like, "How did you get in there? Get out of there!"
Yeah, I remember trying to find a way to ascend in, and I couldn't figure it out. But after I randomly just went in with Yiga, I was like, oh, maybe they'll improve, and they did. They totally just threw me in jail. I was like, this is great. This is good. This is a good video game now.
I could just imagine like Link trying to explain his way through that situation if you ascended through the floor, and when you get caught being in there, the Gerudo guard is like, Link, what? How did you get in there? He's like, I tripped through the door. He's like panicked.
Tripped through the door. Well, you see what happened is that I ran into the Demon King in the depths, and then I got knocked unconscious and woke up on a sky island, and my arm was replaced with a green one that was from a sage from about a bajillion years ago, and it lets me swim through floors.
Like, I think it would be easier to just say the collision on the wall here is a little weird. I kind of just fell through
it. Link stopped drinking the cactus juice.
Yeah, I think they'd believe falling through the door more than that whole story, which is what happened.
Swimming up through the floor. Yeah.
It's the quenchiest. All right, so some cool stuff you can do with the Yiga gear, but also you can do what we always intended to do with it, which was to get into the Yiga hideout. So if you go back to where Mimos was, I don't think even Mimos is there anymore, but you can just straight up go inside the Yiga hideout now that you have the gear. Once you're inside, there's some cool stuff you can do right in the main chamber with all the statues. There's some new shops that sell Yiga stuff, like Yiga bows and swords. It's pretty great.
And bananas.
But don't forget the best shop. There is a banana shop, but
Yeah.
I think the best shop is the spike shop. The man is so proud. He's so happy that he's selling spikes. He loves spikes. When he asks you if you like spikes and you tell him you love spikes, he's like, "Oh my God, I knew I liked you." And then you can buy spikes.
Immediately
go.
bonded.
It's the funniest interaction and funniest sale that you can do in the game.
Yeah. You get pretty great. If you burn the curtain that we already burned in Breath of the Wild, you can kind of continue through the. I mean, there's a bunch of curtains you can burn, get some cool stuff, go for it. But there's one that leads you deeper into the base. And if you go through that one, you can find what is now the Yiga garage, I guess. There's a
Vehicle garage.
couple of Yiga working on some vehicles. One of which is named the Gloom Dredger, and the other one is the Hover Doom Mark III, which we've already talked about. Well, we mentioned the names on our intros, but the Gloom Dredger is like it's basically like a Batmobile for the depths. It's pretty great.
Of course, a heaping helping of spikes on it, all of them.
Right. Crazy spikes. The Hover Doom is just a hovercraft with spikes, and each one of these is missing a part that they're, it seems like the Yiga mechanics who are working on them are intending to fix. But, in the meantime, they'll offer to sell you these vehicles. The Hover Doom is like 100 rupees, and the Gloom Dredger is like way more than that. But
1,000 rupees.
if you want to just like cheat it, you can fix their vehicles for them, and they'll get all upset with you, even though you basically help them. And what happens when you do that is when you have auto build, you can just build that vehicle then, or even save it to your favorites and just have it for free. If whatever the Zonai like material cost is.
But you gotta support the Yiga cause, man. You gotta pay the
Oh.
rupees.
I bought the Hover Doom
Ah,
once because it was the cheaper of the two. And he basically takes you out to the front of the base, like out on like the dunes. And he's like, "Why don't you take it for a test run?" And you can just kind of drive the thing around. But it's not like you're gonna take it very far to keep using it. So either way, it's gonna go. Like you don't like. It's easier just to get yourself the recipe to make it, even if you do buy it.
I'll let you guys in on a little secret too, and the viewers. There's actually a Yiga base. It's from what I remember. Where was I in the depths? There's a Yiga base in the depths. It's quite a big, large Yiga base. It's south. It's kind of near the Zonai Spirit Temple, but a little bit more east than that, kind of where the ridges are, so that like you have to kind of go around that whole like ridge that's in the depths in like the southern part of the map.
Okay.
Kind of like near, I guess, under where Robbie's lab is.
All
So
right.
like kind of in that area. There's just a huge Yiga base there that actually has the Gloom Dredger and Hover Doom and other vehicles there that you can just take and auto build and ride around in the depths. So if you never
nice.
actually came here, you can just go there and get those models there as well. Which is where I
Yeah.
actually first found them. And then I came here and I'm like, this is old tech.
Yeah, when we get through the base, the pit that Koga fell down in Breath of the Wild, you don't even have to go through the base. You can actually just go there immediately if you want because it's not locked off. If you jump down there, there's actually like a distribution center as well that has a lot of the parts that you would need to make these things. So if you have them on auto build, you can build most of it using what's there. It's basically just they're bringing materials from above ground to the underground. So when you go down there, there's just a bunch of stacks of materials, It's kind of an interesting little storytelling bit, but there's no Yiga guarding any of it, so you just go down and get free stuff if you want. But yeah, similar, not the same. There's no like pre-built vehicles there, but you can build some heavy stuff. So yeah, Yiga Garage. Moving on from there, you may remember there was a really fancy stealth mission in Breath of the Wild where it involved a lot of, I don't know, storage crates and trying to avoid Yiga eyesight. You know, uh, basically in the base there was some secret rooms with a bunch of bananas and stuff. A lot of that's still there. A lot of it's still intact. But now, if you go up on the central pillar, there is a Yiga Blade Master who is running a Yiga training. It's basically a mini game now, and it's kind of modeled off of what used to happen if you got caught in the Yiga base. Except the objective is you have 1 minute to defeat as many Yiga grunts as you can, and the more you defeat, the more things you can get.
So there's actually a
including
guy.
the cool move. What's up?
I was actually a guy I want to talk about before who's just really hilarious.
All right.
He kind of just cements like how dumb the Yiga are. But he's actually in the same room as that guy, but he's guarding a gate. And he was actually the first guy I saw when I remember going through this. And when you go up to him, the first thing he says to you is like, you don't look like a Yiga. You look a lot like Link. And I was like, oh shoot, am I gonna have to like have a fight here? And then he just gets really mad and goes on to lecture you about conformity. And it's a long conversation too. And he basically just keeps going on and on in different. It's like if you can write a paragraph for school and you have to make it 1,000 words, but you're just putting the same topic like 6 times over. It's kind of what he does. He just reiterates like 6 times how the Yiga need to be fearsome and largely identical. And even though some of us might be buffer than others, you need to have the same hair. And he makes it a point that your hair is blonde. And he says, it can't happen. I'm not letting you through this gate. And until you don't look like Link, I'm not letting you through, because that Link-like hair sticks out like a sore thumb. And I just thought it was absolutely hilarious. And then he directs you to go talk to the Blade Master to do the training. He's like, if you can pass this training, I'll let you through the gate.
And so to the training we go. I do remember. I think they had that same conversation as well. But I forgot about all that. That was yes.
Yeah, he's hilarious. And they'll teach you how to act right. Get in line, soldier. And I'm just like, bruh, I am Link.
Yeah. So the Yiga training's great. I mean, the Blade Master straight up shows you right off the bat, hey, we reverse engineered this Thunder Helm from the one that we had stolen during the events of Breath of the Wild. They don't straight up say that, but that is the background of this. Since they had it, they understood more about what kind of materials went into it. It sounds like it took a lot of testing to make sure that it was working properly, which meant that a lot of Yiga got fried in the process. But such a great artifact of Yiga engineering that they were able to reproduce can be yours if you are able to do well enough in the Yiga training. Basically, they want to save this Thunder Helm for someone who's really competent, someone who can like really make good use of it for the Yiga clan. And so this is kind of like an audition to be able to be the user of the Thunder Helm. So if you get this 1 minute to fight as many as you can, if you defeat 3 in that minute, you get the paraglider fabric for Yiga, which is pretty great. If you can defeat 6, you get taught the earthquake technique, which is basically what the Blade Masters use when they send, that little steaming hole in the ground at you that eventually, like a giant rock, smashes up from the ground.
Bro, you're not Yiga enough, bruh. You're not Yiga enough, bruh. It's the earthquake technique, bruh.
Earthquake?
You gotta be more Yiga.
Yeah.
You gotta surf, bruh. No cap.
So Link can have this power, and the way you end up using it is to do a charge attack when you don't have a weapon.
It's kind of underwhelming because like it doesn't go very far.
And it doesn't do a lot of damage.
Yeah.
To be honest, like you can take out some like real low level stuff with it in one hit, but for the most part, you got to be prepared to just be using it over and over again if you're trying to rely on it. It's not good.
It's like basically, like you mentioned earlier, it's just a weapon that when your weapon breaks, it's something to keep the combo going, maybe they put it in for.
Yeah, or
Does it
just
knock them up when you use it?
some of them.
Like a
Okay.
bokoblin maybe, but not a like
Yeah,
boss.
not a boss Kotlin, no. It'll just kind of clip through them and they'll be fine.
What about like a moblin?
It might trip them. It's not gonna really
Oh,
like
make them stagger a
launch
little
them. I
bit.
don't think. Yeah,
Gotcha.
it's rough. It really should have been better,
The
but
paper
you
bomb
know.
technique.
But the real reward is if you happen to defeat 9 Yiga during this, and you get the Thunder Helm, which is makes all lightning likes just completely useless. Which when going through the castle part when we were chasing Felda, like that hallway was nothing. I just strolled through it because I had the Thunder Helm. I was like, well, all right. Of all the things, you sent the thing that actually can't even do damage. All right, cool. So I don't know. It's a good helmet to have. We're talking about it pretty much at the end of our game here, but if you get it earlier on, you'll find plenty of uses for it. And that concludes my rundown of the Yiga training. But yeah, it's kind of funny that they end up giving you all of their best techniques and treasures just because you're able to beat them up good. Which
Yeah.
they've been training you for years now, it seems. So they basically just shot themselves in the foot again, like the Yiga do.
What's great is once you complete the training, you can get to the gate that I was talking about with the guy standing there, and he gets all like huffy puffy. When you go to talk to him, he's like, "All right, you know what? I get it. You did the training, you broke the record. That's fine. But I still don't like your hair. And yes, I'll let you through." And then when you walk through there, you actually get to the secret Yiga storeroom, and it's just a pile of bananas, man. There's a sky high in that room of just bananas and
Yeah.
bananas everywhere. And then there's one guy I remember talking to that was really hilarious, and he goes on to tell you about um his plans, and he mentions like there's just nothing foolproof about it. Like if I put a banana on the road and I disguise myself as a tree, there's no way Link is going to know. There's no way. I am waiting for the day that I hear in the news that Link has been felled. It's going to happen, I promise you. I will come let you know, or something like that. And it's just the conversations with them are hilarious. Like they're so concerned with Link. They're like not if they concern themselves with any other part of Hyrule, like economy or taking over something else, they may have actually established an empire, but because they were so fixated on Link, it's like they just got nowhere.
The Yiga could solve world hunger.
Yeah.
Nah, but they yeah. So you
They
get
are
all
trying to
the
solve world
bananas you
hunger.
want.
If they get rid of Link, that's one less mouth to feed.
Oh, is that their motivation? Is that what that's
Yeah,
been done
yeah.
this whole time?
Maybe,
Link
sure.
is a pretty hard mouth to feed, to be honest. He does eat quite a bit.
It's true. He walks around with a 30-course meal in his back pocket everywhere.
Oh, that's right. I remember the conversation. I just had it up here. The guy's like complaining about moving supplies between the space and the depths, and he's like, it's all Link's fault, which makes zero sense because like none of that even correlates with Link. And then you get a prompt. You can ask like, "Who's Link?" or "Good luck with that moving." And when you ask him like, "Who's Link?" he goes, "You're kidding, right? Link is Zelda's appointed swordsman. He's always getting in our way. That guy's a real pain, but not for long. We're tightening our net in Hyrule, and soon he's gonna die."
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and this is he'll never expect that we're disguising ourselves as trees to ambush him. He's done for this time. Like they have
As
real
trees.
high dreams here.
Wow.
It's great. I love the Yiga. They're just so
They got the
funny.
all-seeing Cuckoo on their side. They can't lose.
Seeing Cuckoo.
Speaking of people they have on their side, there's one other special fancy thing we can do once we have this set, and it is actually a shrine quest. Deep in the canyon to get to the Gerudo Desert, there is a stream, a system. It includes some waterfalls, and behind these waterfalls is a secret Yiga doorway, with a secret Yiga blade master who is just waiting for someone who can, take on his the Yiga clan exam, I believe is what he calls it. But of
Secret
course,
Dome?
if you don't have the suit, he won't even let you through the door. He's like, "No, I'm sorry, you can't come in." Whatever. Like only Yiga clan allowed. Blah blah blah.
He doesn't even notice
So
it's Link.
right. So you eventually get this suit, and you can come back here, and he'll let you in, and he'll explain what his Yiga clan exam entails, which is basically just distributing bananas to a bunch of Yiga vandalized frog statues that have little trays. I actually tried to give all the bananas before getting the exam to see what happened, because the statues are there from the beginning. Nothing happened, as you might have guessed. It wasn't until I was able to get in and actually talk to this guy that something happened. And yeah, it's a real simple challenge. He basically just says, "Yeah, take these bananas, go through that wadi outside, find all the statues, and place the bananas." He even marks your map to let you know where to put them. So the whole thing
Nice
just kind of
guy.
becomes a runaround. And when you do this, you get access to a shrine. You get a pristine 8-fold long blade, like one that is not tarnished whatsoever, as well as like I think a gem or something, like some random other side reward, which, if you want to attach it to an 8-fold long blade, can make it pretty beastly. But
Hey yo.
That's a weapon to keep.
yeah. So if you're gonna do all the shrines, got to be a Yiga, at least a little bit. But yeah, no, it was cool. I mean, I remember the mystery of that mission, because I remember, of my first time heading towards the Rural Desert, going through the big canyon and seeing these statues. I'm like, oh my god, like they had the trays. Like most of the statues in this game don't have trays anymore to do offerings. So it's like these are Yiga trays. Like they probably need bananas, and trying to go through that whole process. And then there's this mysterious door behind the waterfall. I was like, what is happening here? And then that was before I even went to the Yiga hideout to figure out what was going on there or anything. So it was just like another mystery to check back in on later. And once I got the Yiga outfit, I was like, oh, I bet I know I can do this. Went back to the waterfall, and it all just worked out. So,
Nice.
good stuff. It actually, I think it's a reference to the Minish Cap, which I know we haven't played, and I think we're planning on playing soon, as in the next game after this one. In that game, there are these swordsman masters that I think there's 7 of them throughout the game or something like that, and each one teaches Link some other sword technique, and one of them is hiding behind a waterfall. Is just you have to go through a waterfall to get to them. So I almost feel like that it was kind of a callback to that.
Yeah, reading on the internet has told me that there's actually quite a few Minish Cap references, I guess, throughout the game, which I don't know what those are, but just reading articles from different IGNs and quest guides and stuff, it's people are being like, oh, this is a Minish Cap reference. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Never played it.
Yeah. All the Krenel naming convention, there's a bunch of named areas that are Minish Cap based, I know of, but I don't know too much else. I mean, I played through the game once, didn't 100% it or anything, just played through it
You're
once.
not a master.
And it's a good game. I can't wait to play it again, but I am also not going to pick out all the references in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, aside from maybe some names. So
I think Minish Cap is a game that I also have only played one time, long time ago.
Yeah,
it's going to be a new game for everyone. Mostly me.
Yeah,
new
for
for
sure.
you.
New game for you.
New enough for me and Fonz.
Yeah, I never got the chance to play the old Zelda games past The Adventure of Link, because I stopped at Super Nintendo, and so I didn't have any of the handhelds. So everything past Ocarina of Time and stuff, I didn't get the handhelds, so I never got the chance to play them I think like after that was Wind Waker and then Skyward Sword, so it was really just the consoles.
Yeah, I mean, I mainly just did consoles up until a couple years ago, so I understand. I mean, Minish Cap ended up on the Wii U, I think, which is how I played it because I did want to stream it. That's what I'll end up doing again when we play it again. Probably just go
Oh
for it.
no, and the store was taken down, which means I can't buy it.
Yes, it was
Rip Store.
Emulator.
store. Well, they might. I don't know if they put it on Nintendo Switch Online yet. I feel like they were
Doubt
going.
it.
The Wii U's not. Well, there is a Game Boy Advance. Maybe I can check, but I don't think they have that one on there. The last time I checked Game Boy Advance.
Yeah, it's a pretty big name. I mean, if they don't, it's because they're holding out for something. I don't know. Nintendo's weird about their game releases sometimes.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well, they want to
hopefully.
make money off a game they sold 20 years ago, and 15 years ago, and 10 years ago, and 5 years ago. Again today.
Yeah,
But they release them
They do.
strategically and like they don't just do it all at once like they could.
yeah.
They hold it.
So yeah, hopefully we can find a way for you to play Minish Cat for the season because I mean if you don't have it already, I mean I got it on my 3DS and on my Wii U. I'm only gonna play it twice. So but
Yar har
I'm also not gonna
fiddly diddly dum yar.
what could that mean?
Arr.
Anyway, let's button up this episode.
Yeah.
Because we're done talking about the Yiga.
I mean the Yiga would yar har a lot. In fact, they do yar har everything.
They do yeah,
pretty
quite
much.
a bit. Don't be Yiga kids. They're on the wrong team. All
They're
right.
funny though.
So yeah, this has been our episode detailing the Yiga exploits within Tears of the Kingdom. We have officially infiltrated their ranks and have become a Yiga link. But yeah, we will next episode we're gonna start heading towards the actual conclusion of our overall story. This was just kind of a side tangent. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. We will catch you next time on A for No, B for Yeah.
Did you get all that?